Hello, Warlords. Welcome to Saga Thursday. I'm your host, Rodge, as always, for this journey about the Saga Miniatures Skirmish game. I'm joined once again by my good chum, Monty. How are you, buddy?
Great, Rodge. Can't wait to jump in.
Absolutely. So we've got a very special show for folks today, hot off the presses. So first up, some Saga news, which will lead directly into our topic for today. So, Age of Hannibal is confirmed, Monty. We've been dealing with nothing but rumors for a year ago. But it is coming out. There's been an exchange with Alex Bouchel. End of September is when the book is coming out. I believe you may be able to pre-order it in some places already, Monty.
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. A lot quicker. So this was after last episode, so less than a month ago. It's September when we're recording this, so less than 8 weeks from confirmation to printing. So hopefully that goes well, and the shipping and everything for us in the States here goes well.
Right.
And we've been treated, Monty, to
a
pre-release copy. We're going to talk about some things in there. The elephants, much awaited, some chariots and the sarissas, little teasers about some of the factions as well. So he gave us the book, so I don't know if we're not supposed to talk about something. There's no strings attached, but we'll hold back a little bit here. But we will give the people what they want at the same time, I think. So that is mainly the Saga news for this time. So we know we're probably going to be talking quite a bit about that. So we're just going to speed along here through the events. One thing is Saga Storm. That is still on, confirmed?
It is still on, confirmed.
Okay. Age of Magic, excellent. All right.
Yep.
Details down below.
Right.
I'll just hit on a couple comments from last time. So this one's from Chris Pullen. He says, greetings from South Africa. Thank you guys for the great videos. I enjoy watching and listening. They play quite a few games in the Viking era. He's the last Romans or the Scots, of course. It's always the Scots, Monty. And the Crusades, he usually plays Ordenstadt or Byzantines. And then he says, in a little follow-up, I pinged him a little further. He says his favorite faction to play is the Ordenstadt. He's learned how to use the battle board effectively, the right combinations at the right time. Isn't that what it's all about, Monty?
That is the key. Always looking for those right combinations.
Mm-hmm. And he particularly likes using the legendary warlord Herman von Salza. He can be quite effective with a free bodyguard giving him resilience 3 and a free unit that he gets with the expansion rule.
Wow.
I don't know much about that guy, but what's been described in that single sentence sounds pretty good to me. So that's awesome. Thanks for the comment, Chris. People playing down in South Africa. That is awesome. And then I have one other comment I want to touch on from Charles Black. He says, thanks for the show. You're keeping us alive with Saga content during COVID. So I don't know. Is that maybe a pep talk for me, Monty? I've received some comments of concern from people last time about my lack of painting and my general state of affairs. But thanks for the encouragement, Charles. He says we got a small group of 8 here in Canberra, Australia, and there are 4 seasons through a 6-season Age of Vikings campaign.
Wow.
Lots of new players loving the game. Against the Scots, of course. It's never pleasant. Always the Scots, I tell you. And then I did a follow-up, just seeing what campaign he was using, and they actually started with my campaign video with Wojciech from Poland. They stripped it way back. All they do is after the game, the winner rolls 2d6, the loser 1d6. Somehow they throw in their Saga dice too, and then they use rewards from the supplement I suggested, which I believe would be Age of the Wolf.
Nice.
So they said it works for next reason, or if it works for next season, they'll do it again. So no map, just a tiny tweak. So
Nice.
awesome. Glad to hear that people are getting their Saga on, Monty.
Oh, yeah. All over the world.
Yeah, baby. That's awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. So we're just gonna pile on here. We want to get to Hannibal, right? We still got.
It is true.
We still got to do some of the usual stuff. So Monty, do you have some hobby progress this time?
Just a little. This is my turn. I thought I'd take a pause. A little bit of a pause.
No.
Number one, it was July and my painting room turns into a sauna because I have no mature trees, full sun. It's just unbearable. Plus, I kind of fell into the PS4 digital world for a while.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Dark Souls 3. It possesses your very soul if you play it too much.
Wow.
Anyways. So my
Amazing.
painting pick is pretty slim, but I did paint up 3 of the Gripping Beast objective markers, and they're really a nice upgrade. The Gripping Beast did a great job. I think it's 2 sets of 3. I got one of them done, the kind of Dark Age-ish one with a dog and a casket of wine leaking, and anyways, they painted it very nicely, and they're going to be a big upgrade because, boy, time after time lately, it seems like my buddies and I are rolling up the objective-based games, and it's nice to put something kind of juicy out there on the table, especially since we even though it's very few people are in the public space, we play in a public space, and sometimes you want to make the nicest presentation you can. So that's my hobby pick.
Okay. Well, Monty, I'm disappointed. You're supposed to be doing enough for both of us here. Unfortunately, I did not get any progress with painting in the last month here. So I think that's okay. We can move on to Hannibal stuff. I will say I've kept the stories going. I've written 2 more. I'm diving into a very large project now to try to keep me motivated. So that's going good. But
Excellent.
yeah. And Monty, this is what a good guy Monty is. He read my stories. He reached out and he read them. God damn it. That's the kind of guy I'm dealing with here. So.
I love short stories, and nicely done, Rodge.
Thank you. Well, okay. Hobby progress, comments down. Games, hopefully we can spend a little bit more time in the games portion of our program. What do you got for us this week, Monty? The Byzantines taking the field again, or what?
No, they were taking a little rest. A buddy of mine picked up a Scots army and supplemented it with some of his own figures. So we have run 2 games, and they're kind of interesting. I know we're under the gun, so I'll narrow it down. We've run 2 games with me doing the Anglo-Danes and him running the Scots. And in game number 1, I will say when the Scots play, they stack like the 4 abilities, hold at bay, long spears beyond the wall, counterattack, and then you add a moose in there, they can destroy anything on the board. I don't care what your defensive buffs are. Close ranks, don't close ranks, doesn't matter. They're going to steamroll you. Oh, you're in hardcover? They're still going to throw you out of it. and it shocked me because I had a 12-man unit of warriors in hardcover with defensive buffs, and they just blasted them with 32 dice, re-rolling 1s and 2s. I mean, it was, it's a public space. I can't cry, but a little tear did form in my eye. So after game 1 against the Scots, I came back with the Anglo-Danes, and I changed it up a little bit. Like I figured out I needed to slow down. The Death Star, the 8-pack of Hearthguard, is all tooled up with those abilities. 32. They're worse than even Berserkers to me, right? So in the second go, I kept my same basic build, the Warlord with the Dane Axe, of course, 12 Levy Archers for some shooting, a unit of 8 Hearthguard of my own, a unit of 4 Hearthguard with Dane Axe, and a unit of 12 Warriors and a unit of 4 Warriors to generate some dice with a little muscle. And we played in another Guard the Loot, which is another objective-based one. The real key, though, to just kind of sum up, like, lesson learned, and for people who are struggling against the Scots, the one thing that really worked for me this time was the 1 unit of Dane Axe Hearthguard. Well, first I should say my Warlord, I left him like a double move away from the Death Star, and then I had a little 4-pack of Hearthguard with a Danax near him, and my opponent swept in with a double move, hit the Warlord, blasted him off the table. There was no saving him. I don't think I dished any hits. No hits got through, which is typical, which is what I've learned. He was rocking those rares. But then in my turn, I should say, I first used, I got to look at this real quick, close ranks to pop an extra fatigue on him. And I didn't spend his fatigue when he came in with the double move. So when it was all over with, his 8-pack is exhausted. And that's the key. Now that he's exhausted, I popped him with Unison, which gives me, well, wait a minute. Sorry, actually it was, oh shoot, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I've got Anglo-Saxons instead of Anglo-Danes out here. So shock, I'm sorry, I hit him with shock so he can't close ranks. I hit him with crush the weak. I hit him with determination. And by spending his fatigue, I got him so that he couldn't even roll his 16 dice. I mean, he could, but since I raised my armor to a 6 and he's exhausted, he's at a -1, so he can't even hit me. And all told, blasted the 8-pack off the table. And that's really the key, I think, is like to dish that fatigue on the key Death Star. Be careful, know that you're going to get chopped, but be ready for the counter punch. And so with that, we went down to the mat, and I just managed to nip out a win in that one.
Awesome.
Whereas in the first one, that Death Star just gobbled up my army. I don't even know if I killed a figure out of it. You just have to adapt, right? Like you just said, right place, right time. And that was my second time with the Anglo-Dane board, and I figured out like that, feeding fatigue onto the Death Star, just slow it down enough so we can fire a shot in its port and blow it up.
Awesome. Yeah. Way to pick it apart, Monty. What will be interesting now is game 3. Now that he saw you do that, he'll probably be much more caught. No double moves.
Exactly.
With those
guys.
Are
off the table.
But it should be a lot more cagey then too.
Yes.
So,
yeah, they've been really fun. I think they're really even, and whereas before I started playing the Anglo-Danes, my opinion of them was like, I didn't really understand the board that well. I didn't think they were really hard-hitting. And now that I've seen like Lords of War in action, where your warlord clears all his fatigue and goes to a 6, 5 with the heavy weapon, but 6 to shooting, he's beastly. He's a player can waste his whole turn trying to take that guy out, and then fail, and then the counterpunch in the Anglo-Dane turn is furious.
Yeah, the key there definitely is using that warlord aggressively, sloughing the fatigue and standing strong. So, I could see that as a bold move, putting him out there. He wants to stop you from doing that. So, okay, whatever, you got him, but I got you.
Exactly.
And, warlord versus 8 Hearthguard. Yeah, I probably would rather get rid of those 8 Hearthguard.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Sorry, Warlord.
Cool. Well, it sounds like you had a fun game there.
Yeah. They're really a good matchup. I think they're pretty even. They both are strong offensively and strong defensively in their own way. So a good matchup.
Good deal. Well, I got a couple of games in. I got a social distance game in the garage against Zach. We'll say this was I was playing Yam's Vikings again, and he was Pagan Roos this time, and I generated some negative karma last time, Monty, by saying that I'd slapped him around a little bit. So now he brought it back, and we did Old Feud. So I did win. That. I could have picked the Brute, but I wanted to have more even games. So I picked the Counselor instead. I didn't want the worst one, but I picked a middling one. One thing with the Yams is it didn't really synergize that well. I already had plenty of dice and activations to do stuff, so he didn't really do anything for me. Yeah.
Interesting.
But it ended up coming down to the last turn, and sure enough, he got his Warlord in to the Counselor and took him out. So he got the win. So he beat me fair and square. Good job, Zach.
Good job, Zach.
The game I want to talk about a little bit more was on Universal Battle. what's the online tabletop?
Tabletop Simulator. TTS.
Tabletop Simulator, yeah. Universal Battle, something different. So this one was against Brandon in Canada. So I think you got a game in against him as well. Okay.
Yep.
So we fired up Age of Crusades, and I just want to do something completely different. So I know that I have those Black Tree Arabic models of some kind. So in my many boxes back here somewhere. So I know at some point I want to play one of the Muslim factions. So I ended up playing the Saracens. I knew I'm like the theme of the Mutadawiyah never really drew me in, sacrificing your guys. And then I knew the Moors had a bunch of fact stuff, so I didn't want to have to like go figure that out. So I picked the Saracens, and it's a really straightforward kind of board, very quick to use. I think not really many shenanigans. Yeah, you're just building up attack dice and defensive dice, and you get pretty good efficiency. We did play with the new victory conditions cards. So did you guys play with those in your game too, Monty?
We did, and I like them quite a lot.
Yeah, so I think you probably did the same one that we did. The Tale of Challenges, kind of, but with an objective on the board as well. Was that yours?
That's it. That's what we rolled up.
Okay,
How
cool.
How strange is that?
Yeah, so I don't know if we mentioned these last time or not specifically, but now we both played a game, so maybe we can talk a little bit about them. But these are just 6 new victory conditions cards for the Battle of Heroes. And somebody, I think Ducat posted them to the Discord, but he didn't make them initially. I don't know who did. I can't give credit, but definitely go to the Discord and get these cards because they're really good. They add objectives on the board. So the problem with the Battle of Heroes is you can go through everything, and what you have is essentially a pitched battle. So the problem is the Irish, the Scots, the Welsh, all the pantsless people. I'm thinking just Age of Vikings right now, but this applies to. Basically, in a straight-up fight, there's some issues going against those factions because they don't have to play. They don't have to play with you. Essentially, they can hide in the woods. You have to come to them. They just have an advantage because you have to come to them and kind of go after them and expose yourself somewhat. So it helps to have really specific objectives and stuff like that to draw them out and make things more about maneuver necessarily than just trying to kill each other. Does that make sense?
It does.
Do you
and
feel
I
that?
Absolutely agree.
Same?
That's why I've been enjoying the objective-based ones so much, is just get people off the back line, get them moving. And that puts most warbands under stress if you got to do multiple things. You can't just stack your board, stand in a line, and say, come get me.
Mm-hmm. So just certain factions, just by the nature of the game and the defensive style, I think can have an advantage if you're just trying to do a straight up fight. But with the objectives and stuff, I think the cards really work and really make the games more interesting for like a fair fight, I think. So if you don't want to do one of the 10 scenarios in the book, which are kind of the same thing, draw them out, move around, do stuff, I think these cards are pretty cool. So yeah, the one that we did was kind of like Tale of Challenges. You picked 2 or 3, but there was another, like a challenge essentially, that was an objective on the battlefield, and you won solely by the challenge points added up at the end. So we didn't realize that until the end of our game, but it was a close game. I ended up losing, but one mistake was mine. So basically, I had an early run. Okay, so he was playing Mutadawiyah. So he had a kind of a big bow unit, some warriors, and then the camels. I forgot about the camels, Monty. If I remember the camels, then I would have been the Mutadawiyah just to play the camels, I will say.
Right.
So it was interesting because they're -1 to hit for calves. So it's very tricky. So yeah, 2 units of Hearthguard camels. His warlord was on a camel, but they're good. But when you're going after the objectives, being reduced on those multiple, it really adds up. So I think they're balanced. I think it really is a pretty big downside. And then on top of this one was also night fights. So if you didn't have anybody next to you, you took fatigue at the start of your turn. So that really stopped us from breaking things up a little bit. Just the way that worked out was a little bit of my favor. But the first boned head I did was with the composite bows. So I guess the shooting is a free action. So I never, I thought it didn't count for Saga activations, and in some ways it doesn't really matter. The only time it matters is if it's your first activation. If they end within medium, you could shoot for free,
right,
and then do a move, but then you will get a fatigue immediately because that's your second activation. Does that make sense?
Man, I have to go back and look at composite.
We looked at the rule book, so that's
okay. So it did say that.
He pointed that out to me in the way that it reads. I believe that's how it is. We were in the middle of the game. I looked at the book. This is what he thought. Looking at the book, I agreed after reading it. So I don't think there's a fact or anything else, but I guess if other folks don't play it that way, or I'd be curious to hear it. But it only matters if you shoot first, because otherwise you've already activated once, so you shoot again. You're already at multiple activations. But the problem was I was gonna basically shoot and scoot all the way across the board and grab the objective, and I had the exact number of Saga dice plus an extra one, if you mess with me. So you can think through it, and you have the dice to do it. But since I set it all up, and then I shot, and then I moved, and I took the fatigue. So I took the fatigue 1 pip sooner than I thought. So then the whole calculation was off by 1.
Okay.
And so I didn't have enough to get there. And then I just decided to do it anyways. I don't know how good of a player Brandon is, or would he figure out exactly what was going on? And then even if I did end up over there, I'd be right next to it. He'd have to use all his resources to kill him, and maybe I could end up with one guy. You just have to touch the objective to eliminate it. And so I did that. I went all the way across the board, and ended up right next to the objective, but couldn't quite remove it because I didn't have enough activations. So that was my first mistake. So I didn't get that objective till much later. So he blew him off, no problem. They have that reroll defense dice shooting ability. That was awesome.
That's
right. Took those guys right out. And then the other kind of interesting combat, and he has a battle report kind of his side of the story, so you can kind of compare our notes here if you want, see if I'm telling the truth or not. But so I had a big 8-pack of Hearthguard, and on one side he had the 4 camels and his warlord. And so if I could take out those camels, I put a fatigue on the warlord, and then at the start of his turn he would take a fatigue because he's by himself. And then my objective is kill the warlord.
Yeah.
So basically he would just have to run away at that point. And so my objective would be safe. I would get his objective, and then even if I never killed his warlord, I would do it. The problem was he had the ability reduce your armor by 1, and then every miss is a hit.
Yes. Oof.
So
I remember
you
this.
played the Mutts, Monty?
Yes.
Yeah,
the camel versus horses is a tough one, especially stacked like this.
Yeah, so I looked at it for like 5 minutes, and then basically I had to go in on my turn, and I just had to do it. So I could get a +1 to hit. He's lowering his armor. I added a crap load of defense dice, and then I just went in, and I'm like, well, it's a 4+, Monty, so this could be really bad or okay. And it ended up being 50-50.
Okay.
So I'm like, it could have easily been 12 hits to myself,
Yeah, right.
4+. So I was like, whew, okay, that's fine. I've got 8 wounds to his 4 guys, so I'm good there. And then I've got 5 defense dice, so I should whatever, he'll probably kill the same number, and we'll trade. But in the end, it's a warlord for the Hearthguard. Just like your game, Monty.
Yeah.
And
good trade.
Like so many other games too. If you have that 8-pack of Hearthguard, the whole game rests on those guys in some way. If it goes good for them, you're good, right? If it doesn't go so good, no, not so good. Unfortunately, I put the 8 hits through, and then sure enough, 7 5+ pop up on his little on the little blockometer. So I kill one of them.
I see where this is going.
With my 5 defense dice, I think I'm a little worse than normally. He kills 5.
Okay.
So I take 8 hits plus 5 defense dice. I lose 5. I do 8 hits to him. He loses 1. I bounce. And that was kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah.
It went a little further till the last turn, but it's like, okay, I got to do 3 objectives here, and I got to do it on the first attempt with all 3 of these things, and there's like no way to do it. So, but it was fun to get into the Crusades full on. I'll tell you that, Monty. It was a very interesting dynamic with the camels, the shooting, the boards, and everything else. And then playing that objective game with horses is a lot of fun, I'll tell you that.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to more Crusade stuff. I think when the quarantine's lifted, the Crusades will flow. Originally, we were going to do a campaign over here for Crusades, so hopefully we can get it going.
Yeah, that would be nice.
After all said and done. One day, Monty.
All right. Got to be very patient. And your story makes me kind of miss my mutts a little bit. Wouldn't be hard to paint my way back in, though.
Yeah, some fun abilities on that board. It's fun because it's fun for both people because you're like making your own guys easier to kill. So the other guy's like guaranteed to have fun too if he's killing your guys on top of it. So
exactly, it's not like the Scots where they come out scot-free, no hits, no wounds, nothing.
Yeah, exactly, and it's fun. But let's move on to the topic at hand, buddy.
Got it.
Shall we? Let's bring up this book here. So, Monty, do you have just general thoughts about what we're looking at here? What folks are in for?
Wow. So my first thought was when I took a look at it was, wow, seriously. First of all, as usual, their production values are fabulous. Wonderful painters. I mean, just simply going through it and looking at all the ancients war bands painted as nicely as they are throughout the book, that's amazing. I think whether you're new or whether you're an Ancients veteran, you will be happy when you dig into this thing. The flavor is there, like the historical flavor that kind of like, with what I remember from the stories of each of the different factions, they've kind of hammered that into the war bands, and all of them look fun. I mean, honestly, I poured them out on the floor, I was looking at them, and I'm like, I can't pick. They all look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The book looks great. There's a lot of stuff here. For me, this is a supplement for a Saga veteran, made specifically for people who've been playing Saga for a while. That's not to say that there's anything so complicated here that a new person couldn't jump in. It's still just Saga after all. But I think there's a lot to digest here, a lot to feast on with various different things. I think some of the board mechanics, like almost every faction has some additional unit types, or there's like the maniples, the phalanx, just some additional constructions, really the contingents, the citizens. So I think there's a lot of flavor there and a lot for a veteran to get excited about and to really dig into. And,
agreed.
Now, Monty, did you see this part up front here about the this supplement is The supplement isn't designed to battle factions from other Saga universes, although it's possible since they share the same rules, they will no longer be balanced. However, this supplement is totally compatible with the two other universes of antiquity, namely Age of Alexander and Age of the Caesars, both coming soon. Did you see that little
I
blurb?
missed it. There's a lot in here. That's awesome. So we know there's going to be 12 more boards.
Yeah, these three universes are the panels of a triptych designed to offer Saga players a voyage through antiquity, and all the warbands in these universes can battle each other without any concerns over balance.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's very cool. So it says both coming soon. I don't know how soon that is, but
right.
Which makes sense. So you can see this in the trailer video. It zooms super in on the Western Mediterranean. So it's only the Western Mediterranean factions that are represented here. So I'm assuming Alexander will probably just be the Eastern Mediterranean, and then Age of the Caesars may move in the timeline forward with some new empires showing up. And so the factions are the Carthaginians, the Romans, Iberians, Numidians, the Gauls, and then for the Greeks, it's actually the Greculi, which means little Greeks. So it's not even, they're saving the proper Greeks for the next supplement here, and it's very cool. So why don't we? So those are the factions. We're gonna get into the elephants and some of the other new rules. I guess just a summary of the book. It's those factions. You've got the mercenaries, as always, joining in. There's some legendary characters and units as well. One thing that isn't in here is old friends, new enemies, Monty, which makes sense if those other books are going to come out. I guess, did you notice that the first time around?
Yeah, good point. That's right. And I think you're right. I think it's because you're going to have two other books with six boards each. Excuse me.
No problem. And then you have some other new stuff here. So you have these ruses, which are going to be kind of card-based things. And these aren't limited to this age in particular. You could use these with Age of Vikings or something like that as well. We're not going to get too deep into those this time. We'll talk more about those next time. And then the last one is Epic Saga, which is a way to play 8, 12, 16 points. And it has rules for you got your main warlord, your little warlords.
Yep.
Did you dig into those, Monty?
I did a little bit tonight. It's fascinating. I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around it, how it would work, but seeing that parts of your army break. There I think are 8 turns, and it could be 2 players, but it could also be multiplayer. And honestly, it is fun when you do the 4-player saga, kind of muscle up with 2 4-point armies, and one side's here and one side's there. So I really like the idea of a multiplayer game.
Yeah, we have the Book of Battles has those 4 different versions. I like this one. I think it's a little more straightforward. Especially if you don't have even players or warband size or something like that. You could easily do, Monty has his 4-point warband. I have my 8 points. We're on the same team versus playing someone with a, one person with 2 6-point warbands or 2 people with 6-point, and there's some leeway there on how you build it. And then, like you said, the point, it's kind of like one scenario, but you got to break the enemy, break the line of the big battle, and there's different abilities and stuff like that you can use as well. I saw, but we can dig more into that one next time, Monty. What do you say?
Good call. Let's do that.
We got enough going on.
We do. A lot to chew on here.
Okay, we got new dice.
Oh yes,
4 new dice.
Yep.
But it seems like a lot, but I guess if it's going to apply to the 2 other books, which I would assume that makes sense. It's not that many dice.
Yep, agree.
When you think about it, but Okay, Monty. This is it. The elephant. Do you have the elephant page up, Monty?
I'm getting there. Who doesn't want to run with an elephant?
I don't know.
Oh my! Just don't get in front of them.
Mm-hmm. These elephants, pretty cool. So they are recruitment options for certain factions. So Carthaginians, the Numidians can take elephants. The Graculi, so the Greeks are actually split into 3 different factions. So you have like the Epirus, the Epirotes, and then you have Syracuse, and then you have like I think Italiotes, the Greeks on the Italian mainland, like Tarentine. I besieged that city many times in Rome Total War, Tarentum. And they were always affiliated with the Greeks at the beginning. I remember that.
Poor city.
So depending which of the Greciulites, that means little Greeks, they have different boards. So the Epirus, the Epirotes, they can take the elephants as well. I saw that. And then I'm guessing there's probably going to be ruse. Probably. Did you look at the ruse cards? Did any of them let you take an elephant? I bet there is one in there.
There was a card or two that made the elephants even better, dishing some auto hits, and if they win, dishing more auto hits. And I thought, wow, if you're going to run elephants, I think you want that card, that ruse.
Okay, yeah. Good to know. Okay. Well, so about half the factions can take elephants. Elephant costs 1 saga point, counts as 12 levies when calculating victory points. Not sure what the nuance there with the levies is. You're not gonna. It's gonna be dead or alive, but maybe for capturing conquer points or something like that. That might be a purpose.
Right, got it. Good one.
I'm assuming that's probably why that's in there.
I think so. Makes sense.
Elephant activates like a unit of warriors, and when recruiting your war band, you can't spend more than half your saga points on elephants. So it's like you got your Hearthguard warriors, whatever you can take. It's its own thing, these elephants here. They can be comprised of 1 or 2 figures, which is interesting. I don't know if I would do 2. That would be pretty awesome to charge a man at the right opponent, but maybe in the big game. Their base size is no less than 50, and the whole base has to be within 80 mil diameter. Do you want to do the top bar there, their profile?
Yeah, so starting with massive. I'm sorry. Looking, so bar, you mean this one. So an elephant generates a saga die. Armor is 5 in melee and 4 to shooting. And its aggression is 5 dice in melee and 2 shooting. And on the top of the elephant, that's basically the riders have a composite bow. So so off at the top doesn't look too great, really. I'm only 5 attacks, but we'll see. There are some additional rules here, bulking that out. So the different rules are animal terror, mad with pain, massive, presence, resilience 2. Okay, so we know they have that at least. Shooting and trampling. Yep.
So an elephant is massive. It counts as an infantry unit. Its first move or charge is always a medium, but sadly the follow-ups are only a short, Monty. It's no good. It's too slow. I don't know. Elephant cannot close ranks or benefit from cover, obviously.
Right.
So that's interesting. So the first one's a medium, goes to a short. So there's going to be, those situations where the shooters are in range. They can shoot, but aren't. It's like a triple activation to get to them with the elephant. So that's interesting. Do you want to do? No, I want to do the trampling rule.
Yes,
that's
do
my
trampling.
One. Okay.
That is a good
You
one.
can do the next two. I just really want to do trampling.
Yep.
Okay. Elephant's a terrifying opponent. When it's in melee combat, he adds 2 automatic hits to any hit scored by its attack dice, which is not too shabby. Now, this next part is the part that gives me the giggles here.
Yep.
It's 4 automatic hits if their opponent has closed ranks or has a mount rule, so if they're mounted. So against the right opponent, you are doing 4 automatic hits. You know, some mounted warlord out there.
Oh, yeah. Trumpy.
And I love it that if they close ranks, which makes sense, they take double damage. But
yeah.
And it's interesting with these automatic hits. So Monty, did you notice that a lot of the boards add automatic hits or do like automatic cancels of casualties? Did you notice that multiple boards?
I did see that.
It's kind of like a theme running through.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they all have it, but I noticed most of the boards have like an automatic thing, which you don't see necessarily a lot in the rest of the Saga universe. So yeah, only 5 attacks on melee, but you're always going to get two extra in. So even if you're exhausted or no matter what. So even if the elephant's exhausted, you're still going to take 2 hits going in. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And with that Roman board, though, I think they still might be crazy enough to close their ranks. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's going to be fun no matter what. All right. Monty, you can do the next 2. I'll give them to you.
Yeah, thank you. So, Mad with Pain. If an elephant is removed as a casualty following a shooting activation, every unit, friend or foe, within S of the elephant must roll a die. On a result of 5 or 6, the unit suffers a casualty. So, yeah, once the elephants were wounded and in trouble, they just kind of were hard to control. And if the mount, I mean, it's kind of horrible, but if the mount didn't kill them outright with like a spike, they would rampage through friend and foe. So that's where Mad with Pain comes from.
Sure, yeah. So this is more like a flavor thing. It's not a 5 or 6, so you're not going to be making any plans around this, but it'd be a nice boon. So I think that's fair. I was kind of curious how they would do that, because from reading stuff, there's always kind of like a wonder weapon. They either just wreck things or it didn't go out. They worked around it. So I think they're doing a good job of straddling line here. It just kind of emphasizes that you want to shoot the elephants out if you can, because if you go into combat, the armor's 5, you take the automatic hits. If you shoot them, they're only armor 4, and then they might rampage through their own guys if you do it that way. So.
Right. Yeah. So just real quick, I know there's still a couple more here, but it makes me think like the whole synergy, the auto hits, the melee, the slight weakness to shooting, the armor 4 to shooting. So if you're going to run an elephant, you might want to put them out on the wings, where maybe you can go after the other guys mounted. And you might also, which is kind of interesting, it's driving you to the historical version, you might want to cover them with like a unit of javelins or levy, some sort of levy shooting screen that will help like protect the elephant till you get them into combat. Because it does no good to have an elephant if the other side runs up, javelins it to death, and then, it dies before it gets into melee.
That's true. So I think it definitely, it's always going to be a fine balance. People want the elephant that rampages through everything, but if you just do that, it's not fair or whatever. What I will say is the elephants can benefit from the Saga ability. I didn't see anywhere that they couldn't, and so I think. I was looking at the Carthaginian board in particular. I think there's a lot of synergies with that board meant to make the elephants more resilient.
Nice.
So I will point that out. They count as like citizen troops, so they can use the citizen abilities. So
excellent.
One thing to point out, you could, maybe have seen them be like mercenaries or something like that. They couldn't use them, but as far as I can tell, they can use the Saga abilities like everybody else. So that's pretty cool. You want to do the next one down, shooting?
Yeah, so there's a whole paragraph with it. The short version is that elephants have warriors, the people who ride up on the back. They treat the shooting that comes off the elephant as composite bows. So that's 2 dice, and that's pretty much it. It just gives you a little something to plink someone with, each turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the last one is Animal Terror, Monty. Now, you loved camels. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because units with mounts X suffered a -1 penalty to their attack dice in melee. And so the same thing with the elephant. It's kind of a weird thing. So the elephant does not have the mount rule in it. So if an elephant were to fight a camel, the elephant would not be worried by the camel, but I think the camel would still be worried by the elephant.
So.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, if you can get the elephant into Cav, you're doing good. With the -1 to hit, they're hitting on 6s, automatic hits. Yeah, I think you're doing okay. One thing in the supplement they say that this is the age of the infantry and stuff like that, but a lot of the factions, do have Cav, and so the Carthaginians, the Gauls, the chariots count as Cav, whatever, mount horses, and we'll get into those in a second. You got the Numidians, they can all be mounted. The Spanish can be mounted. I think the Hearthguard for the Gallic, they can be the chariots, but then they're also mounted on horses too.
Yep.
So it's the Romans and the Greeks that are limited to one unit of mounted guys, but the other factions actually have quite a bit of Cav if you want it.
Yeah, right.
As an option. So there could be quite a few horses out there that you can ram your elephants into.
Yes.
So that's about it. I think. What do you think, Monty? Looking at him.
If I could take an elephant, I would take an elephant. How could you not? How could you not take an elephant? People will walk by one day, right, in the public space. They'll be like, "Are you kidding me? What is this? Oh, this is the ancient world. We're doing ancient, Saga Ancients, Age of Hannibal."
Yeah. So I think looking at, they're not a no-brainer, which I think is good. It's good because if you want an elephant, you can take the elephant, and it'll do something for you. You'll make it work. If you don't want to take the elephant, it's fine. You don't need to take the elephant. You can still. It's not so stupid powerful that you are hurting yourself by not taking the elephant. So it was a fine balancing act for sure, trying to get that all in for 1 point. But I think so far it looks pretty good to me. And when you combine those with Saga abilities, I think it'll be a good use of your point there. I can't see taking 2 in one unit. But it would be fun to smash them in and do 8 automatic hits to something. Don't you think?
It would. You might do it for a fun game. But you really want those Saga dice, right? So
yeah, it generates on its own. So okay. All right, Monty. So one thing we mused on before was the Sarissa, or how are they going to do the big pikes? Would they do anything? Technically, they didn't have to do anything, but it's in here, Monty. So one thing, only the Epirus Graculi faction, they can take warriors with the Sarissas. And I think that's it. I don't think anybody else can take them in the entire book. Did you notice any mercs with them, perchance, Monty?
No, I did not.
Okay.
But I might have missed it, but I think you're right.
Yeah, so there might be, like, those ruse cards let you take additional units, so there could be something in there. We'll talk about those more next time. But, so it's just one unit in this entire book can take them. So I think in the next supplements, Age of Alexander, obviously, they're going to be used up. So they're just kind of a fun little thing here. Do you have any troops with Sarissas, Monty? Did you pick up anything yet?
No,
crazy?
No, I'm split. Maybe I should just order both. I really want one of the Roman definition barbarian options, the Iberians or the Gauls. And I just have to decide, do I want to paint a lot of white, or do I want to paint trousers with stripes and checks?
Okay.
And that'll help me decide.
Okay. Well, I was curious if you had any of these models here.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about them, I kind of like them. I will be picking up Carthage stuff because I've always been a Hannibal fan. But for Age of Alexander, or if I get a second faction, I think I want it to be the Epirus fellows. But so sarissas, only infantry figures can be equipped with their sarissas. They reduce their move distance to a short, but its charge distance remains a medium. So not too big of a penalty. So they get 2 benefits, but they do not apply if they're in uneven terrain, like even partially. If you have one guy in there, you don't get it, which makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So once per turn, after a move activation is resolved, a unit of sarissas can be activated for a shooting with a range of short. It doesn't generate a fatigue, so kind of a free action. And so we just kind of poke them. You get to poke them for free, Monty, with your big sticks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's kind of like a javelin without the armor penalty.
Big time. I like that. Anytime you can move and then pop off a shot, that's a nice combo.
Now, the other bonus here is while you have no fatigue, a unit equipped with sarissas gets +1 bonus to its attack dice in melee against figures that are elephants or are mounted. So that's also pretty nice.
It is.
But one last note. They can only close ranks if they're entirely in open terrain. So it's kind of like another downside. So if anybody's in terrain, they can't close ranks. So you kind of got benefits and drawbacks. I think they did a good job of doing the saga balance of everything. Doesn't cost anything, but you're getting new strengths and new weaknesses. So
exactly.
They're pretty cool. So I'll just touch on the phalanx rule. So the Greculi get the phalanx rule. So it's just basically you designate units as phalanx when you're building them out, when you're recruiting them. So these sarissa guys do count as phalanx troops for the Epirus. And then only certain saga abilities, they'll say phalanx only, something like that. So there's no phalanx rule built into the sarissa is the only. I just wanted to clarify that because the Greculi, they can take, you just regular warriors, spear, shield, whatever, and those guys are phalanx too. It's the 2 different styles. So I wanted to clarify that. So pretty cool.
Very cool.
Monty, chariots. So do you want to do this one? So we have seen a chariot before. Age of Invasions. It was towards the end of, those were maybe the last people using the chariots were out there in Britain. And the rules for it were kind of a little janky. I think it was just your warlord, and they tried to represent it historically as the escape vessel, not like the Warhammer version where you just smash them into things. So we got the chariots now. We're earlier in the period, and it looks like he's just giving the people what they want, which is to smash the chariots into things. And we're okay with that. I think
we are.
Monty,
okay
are you okay with that?
Oh, I'm in.
Okay. Do you want to lay this out for us?
Let me start backwards just a little bit here, because it's kind of interesting. So you build your chariots. Each chariot figure, because you can have chariot units, can be 2 to 6 chariots. This goes back to your issue like with the elephants. Like, since a unit of 2 chariots generates a saga dice, would you really slam 6 chariots into one unit? Maybe, just for fun, right? To get a steamrolling machine. But otherwise, so each chariot counts as 2 Hearthcard figures when you're doing victory points. So I think the way this works is that you have 4 Hearthguard, and then they basically become 2 chariots. Your 4 Hearthguard become 2 chariots.
That's exactly.
And then you have an aggression of 2. You have a shooting aggression of 1.
Well, the aggression goes to 4 in melee.
Okay.
And 2 in shooting. It's basically you're even. You haven't really come out ahead because that's what 2 Hearthguard would normally generate.
Right.
But keep going.
You've got the speed of a mounted unit, so you count as mount horses. Does not reduce your armor against shooting attacks in the usual way, so that's nice. I like that.
So
a lot.
I think so who can take the chariots? I think it's just the Gauls. So their Hearthguard can take chariots.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You can have your warlord on a chariot, which has its own rules, but I believe that's it currently.
That's it, I think.
But we know the Persians in Alexander.
Right.
Those guys had chariots too, so we haven't seen the last of these. So it's Hearthguard. So the armor is 5, so it's going to stay 5 against shooting.
Very helpful.
Very nice. But that's not all, Monty. Keep going.
Nope, that's right. So it makes sense here. They get Presence and Resilience 1 special rules, so pretty durable there. And then this makes sense too. It's a chariot. This is like the way I think they treated the picked chariot. This unit counts uneven and dangerous terrain as impassable, so it cannot under any circumstances go into uneven of any kind.
It's a big So that is a big downside to make up for resilience and that extra armor. But I think it's good. I think you could definitely find a place for just 2 of these guys. Because the resilience rule too, if you got a unit of 6 of these guys, resilience on units is kind of a mixed blessing whether you want to use it or not. But if you just got a little 2-pack, it's definitely, you're not going to regret just taking the resilience, taking the hits on you. And
agree.
So one thing too is the Hearthguard on chariots for the Gaul. They do have javelins as well, so you're hitting hard.
Nice. And you got a free shoot after a move, or wait a minute, and then you're also, if the other side doesn't close ranks, how nice is this? If your opponent, when you charge, doesn't close ranks, your javelin arms, so that'll be a +1. So probably most people are going to close ranks just to stifle that +1. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and then the way the armor works then is the melee armor is still 4, so it's reduced for melee, but against shooting
it's a 5.
It's a 5 even though they're mounted, so it should be a 4 if they're mounted is what it should be. So I think these guys are cool. Chariots are fun. I think it's, if you want to take them, you'll find a use. If you don't take them, you're not going to be wishing necessarily that you did. But it's just a fun troop type. Did you talk about how it works with the warlord then? I was looking up the javelins.
Yeah, I was looking really fast. I clicked ahead to the Gallic section because it gave me a little more detail. He is chariot javelin. His armor is a 4 in melee, 5 to shooting, and his aggression is 8 and 4. He kicks out 4 shots. Mount horse, and he has the same basic rules as a chariot, which means he can't go rumbling into uneven territory.
Yeah, so basically he becomes like mounted in the chariot. He doesn't gain any extra hits or like the way that the Hearthguard do. So
right. I'm seeing that now. Yep.
Yeah, there's a little blurb at the bottom of the chariot section.
So the benefit, I guess, is that you're getting the javelin. So you can get a +1 on your charges or pop off 4 shots at the end of a move.
Yeah, your options are a horse or the chariot. So you pick your poison. Whichever one you want to do.
Interesting.
So cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's the new equipment. Now there is one more. We're not going to talk about it, but the new legendary unit, I will just tell you what it is. It's the war pigs. So if you got the elephants, you got to have the pigs.
Right.
And they're fun. They look cool. I didn't really research it. They're good against elephants. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's also like a ruse card that'll give you the pigs too. So you got multiple ways to get your pig on, man. Okay. So we hit you with the new equipment. We're not going to dive into the battle boards. We've already talked a little bit about some of the factions here. Most of the factions have special rules on top of just normal building. So for example, the Carthaginians can get heavy chariots. The Romans can take a tribune. The Syracuse Greeks can get a tyrant who has his own rules there. So it's a lot to dig in. But so that was like another reason I thought it was a veteran Saga players supplement, because you have a lot of options for what you want to do.
Yes.
And each faction kind of has its own stuff going on here. We did want to maybe say one advanced ability from each battle board, either a favorite or one that looks fun. I don't know what criteria we really have here objectively, but
right.
So I'm going to do the Carthaginians, the Romans, and the Numidians, and Monty was stuck with the Gauls, the Iberians, and the Greeks, the Greculi. And so I'll just start off with the Carthaginians here. So just an overview. I mean, obviously, we know what they're going to be. They're combined arms factions. You've got citizens and contingents. There's no difference, really. A warrior citizen is the same as a contingent citizen. It's just the battle board abilities affect them differently. And the ability that I wanted to talk about was Blood Price. So this is, I believe it's an uncommon. It's got a ship. It's a melee or shooting reaction. It's citizens only. So the elephants count as citizens, Monty. So remove a figure from a friendly unit within medium to cancel a casualty. So here's an ability that just automatically cancels something. So like I was saying before, you're going to see that. Suffered by your unit, up to 2 figures canceling a casualty each if you remove the figures from a contingent. So this one is cool. So you can move up your elephant. You've either got your levy next to it. Now the levy aren't contingents, they're just levies. So you could remove 1 levy, or if you have your Numidian horsemen nearby, or your Gallic warriors, you could peel off 2 of those to cancel 2 hits. So that's a nice synergy with the elephant right there.
Yes.
Obviously.
Very nice.
But you could combine this with your warlord or some hearth guards. One thing that's interesting, so this is a melee or shooting reaction. So you use it, so you pull off those casualties, even though you don't know that you're necessarily going to take a hit. I believe that's how it works, because it says remove a figure to cancel a casualty.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I guess I have to look in the little...
Yeah, look in the book, I guess, right?
Okay. I'll let you go to one of your picks. I'll look that up.
Sure. So the Gauls, oh my gosh, the Gauls. The Gauls have a special ability. We could spend a long time on this, so I won't, but they have a special ability in their board called Fervor, which means you can juice your board abilities, but you put these fervor markers down, and torques would be a good idea, right, on your unit, and as they get full up of fervor, then they become less effective. You eventually, if I remember right, you count as mercenary, which means you can't use your advanced saga abilities. So you're trying to juice your attacks and go crazy, but not too crazy, and lose formation, and then get kind of weak. So it looks like there's some kind of interesting synergy there. But I picked one. It is pricey. It's an uncommon and a rare. It's called Power of the Ancient Gods. It is melee, and use it on any unit other than levies. and you gain 1 attack die and 1 defense die plus 1 additional die of your choice for each unit, friend or foe, within M of your unit. Okay, so that's pretty juicy by itself. Imagine it like a chariot, because a chariot has a big footprint, right? Your chariot is not a small unit. So you juice up the attack with Power of the Ancients Gods. You also can take a fervor marker and re-roll up to 2 of your attack dice and 2 of your defense dice. So yeah, when you get your rare, I think it'll probably be sliding over to Power of the Ancients God for a big punch.
Awesome. That's fun. Yeah, with that fervor mechanic, I've just kind of glossed over it. Like I need to line up the troops, and then let's fight and just see how it works and the flow of it. Because once they're exhausted, they lose the fervor. So do you want to spend their fatigue before they're exhausted? Because the fervor builds up. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I don't know, Monty.
Yeah.
I'm just a man.
Exactly.
Okay. I want to go to the Numidians here. So the Numidians are all mounted warriors. They can take elephants, and so they get some foot sloggers. Now, I think the foot sloggers can just be like warrior dudes with like the spear and shield levies. I believe that may be the case.
Yes.
But these guys, as you would think, are the hit and run style. They've got a mix of saga abilities we've seen before in different boards, sprinkled in a lot of shooting and activation type abilities and some reactions. I'm going to do trap. I think this one is fun once you get the swamps out as well. Choose an enemy unit and a friendly unit within medium of each other. This is just a common dice, it looks like. The enemy unit must activate for a move of short, and it must approach your unit as much as possible. So get the Swannies out there, people.
Oh, yeah.
And get them. This will get them huffing in there. And I just like it. Any ability that lets you move the opponent and is pretty good. And this one is, I think it's better than most. Because it's really specific about what they got to do or where they want to go. So you can do it exactly. They must approach as much as possible. So that's what you can expect from the Numidians. You're going to be playing their game. What do you got next, Monty?
So I want to hit you up with the Iberians. And the Iberians, like the Gauls, have their own special ability called Guerrilla. And Guerrilla, again, without going into too much detail, again, some more chrome here.
I gave Monty the hard ones.
Yeah. So Guerrilla's a little chrome bit where you earn Guerrilla and then you spend Guerrilla. I'm going to park that for now because it matters because it lets you activate in your opponent's turn, which is pretty huge, right? But I picked, so I'm not saying it's the most amazing ability, but I just love this the minute I saw it, especially with what I know about the Iberians, right? It is called Coordination, and it's a common. So you choose a mounted unit and an infantry unit with an S of each other. There cannot be more than twice as many figures in the infantry as the cavalry unit. So the ideal here, I'm thinking, is probably an 8-man infantry unit, 4-pack of, say, mounted warriors. I'm not sure if they can have mounted warriors. I'll have to go back and look. But a 4-pack of cavalry, right? Activate these 2 units for a move off 1 die, 1 common, right? Starting with the cavalry unit. During this move, the infantry gains the mount horse's special rule and must end its movement with an S of the mounted unit. After these are done, gain a guerrilla marker. So the reason this is super cool to me, like chrome-wise, is I'm going to remember this wrong probably. It's been 10 years. They have this thing, I think it's called pilum or pilum. It's basically the thing where like 2 guys would taxi up on a horse and they ride up to the battlefield and the one guy jumps off the horse, the other guy keeps riding the horse around. So that's what this is. Your mounted are battle taxis to help get your foot sloggers. And in games where you got to up and move, games where you're trying to block a pass or get up to some terrain, this little coordination, especially 2 units off of a common, I would be using that, every turn if I can. It looks fun.
Yeah, that's all. Like just thematically, like it's fun to think about it, and it works, and it's really cool. Think about He's like ancient dragoons or something, going in.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, that would have been the one that I picked as well. That looks fun to use. Okay. I saved my Roman for last because this one just cracks me up. And I don't know if it's the one you would have chosen. I don't know if it's the best, but I think this one, the Republican Roman board, so it's just guys on foot mainly, what you're expecting. And a lot of the abilities are defensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little thing with maniples. Don't really need to get in there. But basically you just designate some units as maniples when you're deploying. And so this is Stabili Gradu. And I can't see if that's an exclamation point or an I. I think it's an exclamation point.
Yep.
Which just makes it even better. Love those SAGA abilities with punctuation. Exclamation points are the best. Orders reaction. It's two uncommon. So I guess this is kind of pricey for what you're getting here. But until the end of the turn, all maniple units who have closed ranks just cancel the first casualty in step 5 of any melee. And if they have not disengaged, they suffer no fatigue at the end of the melee. Oh. So that's the brutal. Throwing yourself at the Roman line. You're doing nothing. You're just digging your own grave trying to go against these guys. I thought that was awesome.
That is awesome.
Awesome ability.
Brutal.
So, yeah, two uncommons, I guess. I don't know, in the breakdown of things, how works. Obviously, it's better if you can have other abilities souping it up. So maybe you have that, maybe you won't. But yeah, that's awesome. I could just imagine the Silver Fox just going at him again and again and just beating my head against the wall.
That's right.
Doing exactly one casualty, which just gets canceled. I saved them all but one. But Stabili Gradu, I remove it here, and then take no fatigue. So
exactly.
Perfectly themey. I think that's really awesome with those guys. So
love it.
You got another one?
One more.
Who do you have last
Sneak
here?
this in for the Graculi.
Okay,
this one is called the Hammer and the Anvil, and it is a melee ability. It is a common or uncommon, and it's for phalanx units. So you start out, you gain 2 defensive die, but here's the kicker. If the enemy unit was forced to withdraw, and if you close ranks, you make your saves, and the enemy unit was forced to withdraw at the end of the melee, activate another friendly unit with an M of your movement for a move or a charge that generates no fatigue. So I know there's a little bit of risk, but you have enough defensive plays, and I don't know. I think the power of I have a unit, I bring up another unit, and then I win, and that's in melee. So then another unit gets to charge for no fatigue. Maybe they go in and finish off the unit that was weakened up. So I don't know. It seems I like the synergy of extra movements and without a dice and without an extra dice and without fatigue. So that was my pick. Hammer and Anvil.
Cool. Monty, that wasn't the right ability to pick.
No?
No. I'm going to throw a bonus one in here because this one cracks me up every time I read it. So I will say the Graculi, there's 3 different lists that they have. They're very different from each other. One, the warriors are sarissas. One, they're just regular. And one of them is with javelins. So I think this one will come up. So we've got a bonus ability. I'm just going to throw in here just for everybody at home. This one's called Aspis. Orders reaction. Uses a common and an uncommon. Until the end of the turn, your infantry units equipped with javelins can close ranks. I don't know. Something about that just makes me chuckle every time I read it. And then units that have closed ranks gain 2 bonus defense dice in a melee, 3 if they're phalanx. So they still take the armor hit, but I don't know. Something about that just makes me giggle. Just like the Roman ability here, just closing ranks.
That is tough.
If other javelin guys are coming in, you're closing ranks, taking their bonus from them, and then you got some defense dice. So Anyways, well, that was a
Good
lot of fun.
stuff.
Going through that. Obviously, there's so much. I mean, each faction deserves its own review, Monty.
Agree.
We won't be doing that, but I hope we've given everybody a taste, gotten some excitement flowing here. So, Monty, have our new models en route here? New purchases?
No, but I think it's going to be Victrix Plastics. Either they're Gauls or they're Iberians. I just have to pick one of the two, or just give up and order both.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to stop. I had it all in my cart, ready to pull the trigger. But with the current non-painting state and having my Eastern Heathens are only about half done anyways, so I'm a little hesitant. We've been in this long enough to know that might be could be a death knell for those guys if I was to pick up anything else.
Right.
I'm gonna get a box of Numidian cavalry, so those will join. They'll be the Carthaginians. So I'm gonna get a little something. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, and I can just paint as I go along there. If I get them and I'm excited, that's good. Something to get me painted. And if I finish them, then I'll get the next one. With the Carthaginians, it'll be tough because I want to get some of the Gallic warriors on foot.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get some Iberian contingents as well. And, I've already a unit or two deep into those three factions then. So, and one thing, if you can actually, I looked at the Numidians. So, like a legal Numidian list is also a legal Carthaginian list. You can take all contingents and elephants.
Okay.
So you got like a double board duty.
Nice.
Already going on in this age. But yeah, so I think that's the idea right now. Monty, the Victrix shields, do you have to order those direct through Victrix to get the right size? I was looking at the Little Big Men, and it didn't look like they're on Little Big Men's website.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I remember that now. I think you do have to pick them up directly from Victrix
to get the exact one. So you might already have knowledge that whatever the Warlord ones would also fit, but I guess I don't know that for sure. Okay, I was looking at that. So that depending where you're sourcing these, I guess I'll have to do a big order of the transfers at least from Victrix direct. I was thinking about using all Victrix models for this one as well. They look pretty good, but Gripping Beasts, they're rolling out. Their Ancients ranges. Obviously, other folks have them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could highlight some of those maybe next time. But,
perfect.
I haven't built anything with the Victrix, so these ones look good, and I'll give them a shot. See how they go.
Nice.
But Monty, I think that's it.
That's it.
Don't you think so?
Oh yeah.
We cut it short in the beginning, and we cut it long in the end.
Right.
That's the way she goes. So, we've only scratched the surface of these. Hopefully, the juices are flowing. Next time, we'll talk about the epic battles in a little bit more detail. I think those would be of interest to, even if you're not going to jump into Age of Hannibal, I think you would want to pick up the book specifically for the epic battles, not necessarily the ruses, I would say, but the epic battles. I mean, because there's like enough like little abilities and stuff that you would just want to have the book there. Obviously, you could just line up your giant war bands and fight them, but
that's right.
I think the rules that they have laid out make sense. So I think it'd be a valuable addition to the Saga player library, even if you're not interested in the Ancients as of yet. And I think that's about it.
Yeah.
What do you say, Monty? It's bedtime?
If you're not interested in Ancients now, we're going to scratch that itch so that you will be. That's our goal.
Oh, okay. Ooh,
right.
All right. Well, tune in next time. We'll talk about epic battles and then talk a little bit more about the ruses, which are another interesting mechanic. So those are optional as well. You don't have to use those. But okay. Well, that's it.
That's it.
I'll check you later, Monty. It's been real.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Saga.